Well, finally, the day has come. I'm going to be bottling my IPA experiment for BeerAndWineJournal.com. I brewed this on October 5th. I got done brewing around 3:30 in the morning. Then I dry hopped it with 2 ounces of Cascade hops on October 17th. And today is October 22nd. And now it is time to bottle. It's been sitting at about 68 degrees. And we are just over 5 gallons. I'll call that 5.3 gallons. So we can just get going and start siphoning into the bottling bucket. I have pre-made my priming sugar, and based on calculations, I came out to 4.2 ounces of priming sugar. You can see the massive amount of trub we have on the bottom here. I'd say that's probably 2.5 inches worth of gunk on the bottom. I think you can see the line right here, but it's just over 5 gallons. Very quickly, I want to go over the ratios by which we need to bottle and add our gypsum. And that's the whole point of this experiment, is to add the gypsum, which is calcium sulfate, in different ratios as we bottle. So the first gallon, we're just going to leave it as is. We're not going to add anything to it. It's just a 1:1 ratio. The second gallon we bottle, we're going to dump in the 1.5 grams of calcium sulfate or gypsum. On the third gallon, we're going to add in 1 gram of calcium sulfate. For our next gallon, our fourth gallon, we're going to add in 0.75 grams. For our last one, we're going to add in 0.33 grams of calcium sulfate into the bottling bucket, and then bottle as normal. Now let me tell you about how I got these weights, I'm hoping accurately. I swear I felt like a drug user, you know, using my razor blade to make my lines and stuff like that, but my digital scale only goes in whole grams. It doesn't do decimal points. So I had to do a lot of math and a lot of cutting the lines. I have 2 different types of bottles. I have, you know, my regular amber bottle, and what I always like to do is I like to have these 8-ounce Coke bottles to basically gauge the carbonation level in the beer, so that I don't have to waste an entire bottle. I can look at these and decide whether it's ready to go or not. The first thing I need to do is take a sample so that I can take a gravity reading. Not to mention taste it. Alright, just to make sure that we're clear on the amount of beer we're doing here. 128 ounces is 1 gallon. I'm going to use 9 amber bottles and then 2 of these, which comes out to 124 ounces. So we'll be slightly low, but only by, you know, a minuscule amount. I'm using my dishwasher kind of as a catch tray here. So I'll get this first gallon done, and then we'll come back for the chemical addition. I've got the first 1 gallon done. Everything's bottled, or everything's capped, so we are ready to go with adding our next addition. For this next gallon, we're going to take our 1.5 grams of calcium sulfate. I mixed 1/4 of a cup of cold water. Pour this in and just lightly stir. And then I'm going to let this sit for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and just kind of let it do its thing, and then we'll start bottling this next batch. Now you can see all the beer in the line here, and that is the pre-mixed wort. So what I want to do is I want to get all this out of the hose, and I'm going to pour it back into the top. So all we'll have in here is fresh with 1.5 grams of calcium sulfate. That should do it. I only need to get a little bit out. So now we're going to move on to the ratio of 1 to 3. And I have 1 gram of calcium sulfate. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for about 3 minutes again. I'm going to show you what I did so that I mark these correctly. On the cap right here, I put 1 to 1. And then on the second gallon, I put 1 to 2. Now we're on to the 0.75 grams of calcium sulfate and into the bucket. I'm going to go ahead and bottle the 9 amber bottles and 2 Coke bottles. And finally, I've come to my final gallon of beer to bottle. I'm going to add in 0.33 grams of calcium sulfate. I'm going to bottle, cap it, and then that should be about it. I am finished bottling everything. However, as we calculated before, 9 ambers and 2 clear Coke bottles, but if you look at the count here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 amber bottles and 2 Coke bottles. We ran out of beer. I put every last drop from the bottling bucket into these bottles, so there is not an ounce left over. So hopefully this won't skew the test too much. I guess my bottling bucket measurements are just a little off, so what can you do? All right, here's our haul. I got 24 bottles here, 12, 6, 7, and then I have my 8-ounce bottles here. Before I finish up today, I want to check the gravity on the beer. As you saw, it came out at 1.011, and the starting gravity was 1.066. At 1.066 at 56 degrees, and the final gravity here was 1.011 at 76 degrees. We're going to guesstimate that the ABV is going to be 6.99%. I'm going to let this bottle condition for at least a week, and then we'll do a side-by-side tasting, how about that, of the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 ratios. So until then, I'll see ya.